So, good evening. We intend to study some verses in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, describing the qualities of a sage of steady wisdom, Sthita Prajna Lakshana. The peace chant, Shanti Mantra, for this evening is a very well-known prayer seeking the grace of the Lord, by which everything becomes possible. So this Shanti Mantra is on page 242 of the book Universal Prayers. The English translation is on page 243. Om Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Paramanandamadhavam. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I offer my loving salutations to the blissful Lord Madhava, by whose grace even the mute can become eloquent and the lame can cross over mountains. May He bestow His grace upon us all. Om peace. May there be peace in our hearts. May there be peace and harmony amongst all beings. And may there be peace everywhere in nature. So last time we were studying verse number 57. There Bhagavan Sri Krishna describes the quality of equanimity in a Sthita Prajna. Sthita Prajna is a person whose awareness is always unvaryingly fixed in the self within. There the Lord said, verse 57, Yas sarvatra abhisnehastat prapya shubha shubham na vinandati nadveshti tasya prajna pratisthita. When a person remains equanimous, unperturbed under all circumstances, whether one encounters happiness or unhappiness, pain or pleasure, if a person remains unaffected, remains calm, and does not exceedingly rejoice when something good happens, and does not hate or become angry or depressed when something bad happens, such a person is a sage of steady wisdom. Now more qualities are being described in the subsequent verses. These are all qualities of a sage of steady wisdom, Sthita Prajna. That was the question asked by Arjuna in verse 54. What are the qualities of a Sthita Prajna? Sthita Prajnasya ka bhasha samadhisthasya keshava sthitadi kim prabhasheta kimasita vrajeta kim. That was the question. Sthita Prajna here means a person who is constantly aware of his divine nature. I am the self, I am Brahmasmi. I am that Brahman, I am not the body and the mind, I am that Brahman. If someone has this kind of awareness all the time, then such a person is a sage of steady wisdom, Sthita Prajna. When we study these qualities, we notice that something very interesting. In the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, Sri Krishna describes the qualities of a devotee of God who has pure devotion to God. Some of you have studied Narada Bhakti Sutra, devotional aphorisms of Narada. It was taught by Swami Atmagyanandaji some time ago. There also exactly same qualities are being described as qualities of a devotee. That means if a person has knowledge of the self, Atmajnana, self-knowledge, that is not the embodiment, he is the self. Or if a person has pure devotion to God, para bhakti, prema bhakti, raga bhakti, as Sri Ramakrishna calls it. If a person has devotion of that type, both will have the same qualities. Both will be, for example, equanimous under all circumstances. Both will not hate it or become unhappy when something unpleasant happens. Both will remain calm and do not exceedingly rejoice when something good happens. Both will remain content with whatever is available. They will be free from greed, anger, lust, etc., other blemishes. So all these qualities are actually same. Both for Sthita Prajna, who has become a Sthita Prajna, sage of steady wisdom, by engaging in self-knowledge in the path of inquiry, Jnana Marga, path of knowledge, or in a person who has pure devotion to God, who has achieved pure devotion by practicing devotional practices. Unconditional love for God with no desire or hatred or fear. Such a person. So we shall now see 3 aphorisms from the Narada Bhakti Sutra to see how exactly they are similar. The descriptions of a devotee are similar to the descriptions of a sage of steady wisdom in the 2nd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. In the Narada Bhakti Sutra, devotional aphorisms of Narada, Sutra number 4, aphorism number 4. Yallabdvapaman siddho bhavati, amrito bhavati, tripto bhavati. 3 qualities. Yam labdva, yat labdva, by achieving pure devotion, a devotee becomes perfect. Siddha bhavati. Siddha means, there are 2 meanings of the word siddha. One meaning of siddha is a person becomes perfect in every way. That means free from all or any blemish of character blemish. There is nothing negative quality at all in a person who has pure devotion. Such a person is a devotee, siddha bhavati, becomes perfect, becomes absolutely absolutely pure, free from all blemishes of character and emotional upheavals. The second meaning of siddha is one whose all aspirations and goals have been fulfilled. They are not necessarily referring to the worldly aspirations like wanting to have a bigger house or more money or something else, not of that nature. They don't have that kind of worldly desires, pure devotees. Their desire is to be always devoted to God, have pure devotion to God. They don't ask for anything else. When they pray to God, they don't ask for anything else. They only ask for pure devotion, and they have that pure devotion. So their highest aspiration, the noblest goal of life for them, which is to achieve pure devotion to God, has been achieved. There's nothing that they are lacking in. So that is the second meaning of siddha. Yalladvapaman siddha bhavati, amrito bhavati, becomes immortal. Amrita bhavati means this quality of pure devotion is just like self-knowledge. It is eternal. Once you know that you are that self, then it will never change. You will never go back to thinking that you are the body and the mind with all the problems of the body and the mind. That ignorance, you will not go back into the domain of ignorance once you have achieved self-knowledge. In the same way, once a person has achieved pure devotion to God, that will be permanent, cannot be lost. Amrito bhavati. Third quality is tripto bhavati, becomes completely content with the devotion. Tripta bhavati means becomes free from all desires. Tripti means absence of any desire, contentment. The greatest happiness comes when a person has no desire. Even if any one desire is there, that will bother the person. Oh, I don't have that and I want to have it. Whatever it may be. If even one desire is there in the mind, that means the person is not happy. Something is lacking. That person feels emptiness. That is what desire is, a feeling of emptiness. I want to have it, I don't have it. That is the desire. Even if one desire is there, a person becomes unhappy, not content. Is not content with the present status. Tripta bhavati means a person who has pure devotion or self-knowledge has nothing more to desire. Total contentment, total calmness, total peace, total repose. No upheaval in the mind. I want this, I don't have it. That feeling is not there. Tripto bhavati. There is a very interesting term in the Taittiriya Upanishad. There the term akamahataha comes several times, 8 or 9 times. Kama means desire, any kind of desire. Kamahataha means a person who is afflicted with a desire. Desire is an affliction. We will study the topic of desire in greater detail when we go to verse 60 to 63. But for now, desire means a feeling of emptiness. I want something which I don't have, I want to have that one. That is desire. As long as there is desire, there is unhappiness, feeling of emptiness, something is lacking. If no desire is there, that person is happy. There is nothing more to ask, is totally contented. Akamahata means a person who does not have even one desire, no desire, that person is the happiest person. That person's happiness is far greater than the richest person in the world, than the most powerful person in the world. Even if a person has the whole wealth of this whole world in his possession, even if a person is young and strong and educated and everything, all good virtues are there, still the happiness that such a person has is nothing compared to the person who was free from all desires. Akamataha Shrotriyasya cha kamahatasya, like this in the Taittiriya Upanishad. Very beautiful passages are there. So a person who has pure devotion becomes tripto bhavati, becomes free from all desires and becomes totally content. In the Patanjali's yoga aphorisms, Patanjali lists santosha as one of the virtues. Santosha means contentment. What is the benefit of remaining content with what we have? So describing the benefit of santosha, practicing the virtue of santosha, Patanjali says, santosha dhanuttamas sukha labhaha. When a person is established in santosha, in the virtue of contentment, that person has the highest degree kind of happiness. Anuttama sukha, incomparably happy he will be there. Nothing is wanted, nothing is absolutely content, happy with what is there. So a person who has pure devotion has that quality of contentment. A person who has self-knowledge, Sthita Prajna also has the same quality of contentment. One has reached that path of that goal of contentment by following the path of inquiry, self-knowledge. Who am I? I am not the body, I am the self. Another has reached that virtue of contentment by the path of devotion, by developing devotion, unconditional, total, pure devotion to God. So that is that is the similarity between the Sthita Prajna and a person who has pure devotion, bhakta, a devotee. The next aphorism number 5 in Narada Bhakti Sutra, is like this. Yat prapya na kinchidvanchati, na shochati, na dveshti, na ramate, notsahi bhavati. Yat prapya, by achieving pure devotion, a devotee does not require anything else, does not feel want or lack of anything. Na kinchidvanchati, has no desire. If you have the highest thing in your possession, and nothing else can make you happier, make you happier. If there is nothing else that can be added to it, you have the infinite happiness within you. Then what is there to you to be unhappy about? No, to desire, there is nothing more to desire. All desires have been fulfilled, and you have the highest, greatest happiness that anything can bring. Then what is there more to be added to it? There is nothing. So, na kinchid vanchati, free from all desires. Na shochati, no shoka. Shoka means grief or any kind of unhappiness. Why sometimes people suffer from shoka? Because there is something has been very dear has been lost. It may be a person, it may be health, it may be money, it may be something or a job. Something which was very dear has been lost, and that feeling of loss is causing grief to the person. Oh, nothing has been lost, but the fear of loss also causes grief. Oh, I may lose this one, I may have this, I have this. Why that shoka comes? Because fear of losing something, or shoka comes because something that is dear has been lost. For a devotee who has pure devotion, nothing can be lost. He has the highest thing that anybody can possess, namely pure devotion, and that cannot be lost. It is Amrita Swarupa. There is another aphorism, number 3 in the Narada Bhakti Sutra, which says, when pure devotion comes, it is permanent. Amrita Swarupa, immortal. It is of immortal nature, cannot be taken away, does not diminish. So that person there is nothing for that person to be unhappy about. Na shochati, no grief, no fear of loss. In the same way, if a person has self-knowledge, then that is permanent. He will never go back into the domain of ignorance, thinking that I am the body, I am the mind. So in that way they are similar, pure devotion and self-knowledge. Na dveshti, dvesha means hatred. What is there to hate? If a devotee sees his chosen idol in everybody. In the wicked person also he sees God. In the wise, best person also he sees God. He sees God in animals, he sees God in plants, he sees God in inanimate objects. He is God alone everywhere. God has become the whole universe. So what is there to be to hate? There is no hatred in the heart of a devotee. In the 12th chapter of the Gita, verse number 13, describing the qualities of a devotee, Sri Krishna says, this is the first thing he mentions. Adveshta sarva bhutanam maitra karuna evacha. Verse number 13 in chapter 12, describing the qualities of a pure person who has pure devotion. The first quality is Adveshta sarva bhutanam. There is no trace of hatred in the heart of a devotee towards any being, animals and plants and inanimate objects included. Can't hate anything. Same quality in the Sthita Prajna. Na dveshti, na ramate. It does not hanker or delight in anything that ordinarily worldly people take delight in. For example, if somebody is given a very nice meal or some very nice gift, that the person becomes very happy. Or if there is a promotion in the job, or if a child is born, a person becomes very happy. Something that was not there was supplied, and that brings happiness. That person becomes excited and enthusiastic and enjoys that. new possession or new experience or that happiness. But no such thing is possible for a devotee, because he is the maximum happiness. There is no other thing in this world, whole universe, which can make a devotee happier than he is, because pure devotion to God is the greatest thing. There is nothing greater than that one. In the same way, a Sataprajna who has self-knowledge, he is enjoying the maximum bliss, Ananda, Sachidananda, Satyam Ganam Anantam Brahma, infinite bliss a person is enjoying. Then what can make it a little bit more? You cannot make infinity bigger by adding another 10 or 15 or 1,000 and a million. It's already infinite. In the same way, Naramate, there is nothing that they hanker about, that they are feeling, this is so great. They already have the greatest thing in their possession. Naramate, Nutsahi, Bhavati, does not become excited about anything. Utsaha means great enthusiasm. Supposing some people get excited over something. For example, there are football fans who like to watch football games, and this evening there is going to be a Super Bowl between two teams, football teams, and they are rooting for one team. And the Super Bowl begins at 6 o'clock. But from 3 o'clock onwards, people become excited. They get ready to arrange the Super Bowl party. They invite the neighbors and friends, and they have a big screen television, and they bring a lot of snacks and drinks and Coke and all those things. They get ready to the match begins at 6 o'clock actually. But from 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, so much enthusiasm running about this, rearranging the furniture, inviting people, making phone calls. Are you coming? What is this? It's all about a football game, because it brings so much happiness to them. Such a thing does not happen for a person who has pure devotion, because he is already in the state of maximum happiness, which nothing else can increase or enhance. Notsahi Bhavati. So these are qualities common to both a person who has pure devotion and a person who has self-knowledge, Sthita Prajna. One more aphorism is there. This aphorism number 6, Sutra number 6 in Narada Bhakti Sutra. There Narada Maharshi says, Yajñatva matto bhavati stabdho bhavati Atma Ramo Bhavati. Yajñatva, by achieving pure devotion, by knowing God, Matta Bhavati, a person becomes inebriated. That means there's so much ananda, bliss or joy comes to the person that it cannot be expressed through the body and the mind, as we ordinarily do. When we become happy, we smile, we laugh, and we jump about. Oh, so nice, so great, so wonderful. But this great kind of inner joy is far greater than what can be expressed in the body, and the person becomes completely inebriated in it, like a person who has drunk some intoxicating substance, taken some intoxicating substance. He becomes inebriated. He is absorbed in himself. He is very happy, absorbed in himself, at least for the time being. So a pure devotee who has pure devotion to God has that kind of inebriation, divine inebriation. Yajñatva matto bhavati. You can remember this incident in the life of Sri Ramakrishna. How every now and then he would become totally inebriated and stand there perfectly still, no action, no movement, nothing. How that would happen? Because of the inward joy that could not be expressed in the ordinary way. So once what happened, he was standing like that in his room, totally motionless, inebriated, deeply inebriated. At that time, Girish Chandra Ghosh entered. He used to come every now and then. At that particular time, Girish Chandra Ghosh brought one of his friends, Kalipada Ghosh. This Kalipada Ghosh did not know anything about Sri Ramakrishna, only he went there because Girish asked him to go. So when Kalipada Ghosh and Girish entered Sri Ramakrishna's room, they saw Sri Ramakrishna standing there absolutely motionless. Then Kalipada Ghosh thought that he had taken some intoxicating substance, some wine or something. That's why he has become so high. He is experiencing high or completely intoxicated, matta. Then, after some time, Kalipada Ghosh asked Sri Ramakrishna when he opened his eyes. He asked him, "Sir, what have you taken that made you so intoxicated?" He thought that he had taken something, some drink or some substance like that. Sri Ramakrishna said, "Do you like to have that too?" Yes. And then Kalipada Ghosh asks him, "Yes, I want to have it. Is it British made or home Indian?" He said, "No, this is not British made, Sri Ramakrishna. It is local. If you want, I can give you." "Yes, please give it to me," he says. He is still thinking that Sri Ramakrishna had taken something and he had become inebriated, intoxicated. Like that, a person becomes totally lost to the outside world. It is so much joy, inward joy, that cannot be expressed, cannot be enhanced, cannot be increased. Such a person, a pure person who has pure devotion, also experiences that kind of joy. Matta bhavati stabdha bhavati atmarama bhavati. Atmarama means enjoying oneself with oneself. The self is intrinsic, not coming from, the joy is intrinsic, not coming from outside. Ordinarily, our happiness comes from outside. How do people try to find happiness? By acquiring possessions, by buying more property or earning more money, or buying a bigger, better, more expensive car, or by having relationships, by having a family, by having children and husband or wife. They find happiness in relationships. They find happiness in things like position, power, fame. All these things, people try to find happiness in these. These are all outward things, and these are not permanent. They come and go. The problems with this kind of thing to which people look for to find happiness is explained in the very well-known verse in the Gita 5:22, chapter 5, sloka 22. There Sri Krishna says, chapter 5, verse 22, "Yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukkha yonaya evate adyantavantah kaunteya nateshu ramate buddha." This kind of happiness that comes from outside objects, contact with outside objects, samsparshaja bhoga, eventually they cause only unhappiness because they leave, we become attached to them, and then when they leave, separation inevitably comes. All the things are there, I have to leave, or I am there, things will be taken away from me. One way or the other, separation comes. When the separation comes, when that happiness ends, or so-called happiness ends, a person becomes very unhappy. Dukkha yone evate, cause only dukkha, unhappiness. And they have severe limitation, time limitation. Adyantavantaha, they have a beginning and an end. When we were born, we didn't bring any property. We were not famous. We didn't have any position or power. We didn't have anybody. No children, no spouse. Only father, mother were there. Adyantavantaha. And then after some time, when you become old, all these things will be lost. After retirement, power will not be there, position will not be there. You may be a president or CEO, but when you retire, which has to happen sometime, then you are an ordinary person, Mr. Citizen. No special power, nobody pays any attention to you. Like that. These are all temporary things. Therefore, nate suramate buddha. A wise person does not take any delight in all these things. If they are there, it's okay, they are happy, it's okay, thank you. If they are not there, it's okay too. But I am already independently happy. Naramate does not take any delight in these things, does not hanker for these things, does not run about for these things. So those are qualities of a devotee who has pure devotion to God. Notsahi bhavati atmarama bhavati. Then how does he find happiness? In the self. A jnani sutta prajna finds happiness in the self, with the self. That we studied in the verse number 55. Second line, there Sri Krishna says, Atmanyeva atmana tushtaha. Atmani eva atmana tushtaha. In the self, by the self, being happy. Incomparably happy. Immeasurably happy. Where did the happiness come from? From within itself. That cannot be lost. Happiness coming from outside objects can be lost. Relationships can end. Position can end. Youth will go away. Beauty will go away. Money can be lost. Property can be lost. But this joy coming from within oneself cannot be lost, because that is we. This is not something that we have which can be lost. It is our true nature is Satchidananda. If a person knows that, then there is no need to depend upon outside things for happiness. Atmani eva atmana tushtaha. Second chapter, verse 55. Same way, here in the Narada Bhakti Sutra, Narada says a person who has pure devotion to God, such a person says Atma Ramo Bhavati. He rejoices within oneself, because devotion is inherent in him. Actually, we all have devotion. Every one of us has devotion inherently within us, love within us. But most of the time, what happens is that devotion is not is latent. It is not. It is covered by ignorance and desire for worldly objects. We don't know it is there. We have that treasure within us. Each one of us has a birthright. It is our birthright to have pure devotion. It is there, but it is covered by ignorance. Oh, this, if I buy this house, they will be happy. If I do this, I'll be happy. If I get that, I'll be happy. So we are looking for happiness in places where it cannot be found. We don't know that this treasure of happiness is right within us even this moment. So devotion is not something that has to come from outside, which is absent now. It is there. Only the ignorance is removed, which is the case in self-knowledge also. We are that Satchidananda at this moment, every one of us. But we don't know that. We are covered by, our knowledge is covered by ignorance. Once ignorance is removed, then we realize, oh, I have always this. Why did I think that I was this human being, this person, that person like that? And that removal of ignorance is what is to be done. Therefore, a devotee becomes Atma Ramo Bhavati, fully rejoicing in one's own self, not depending upon any outside object, other people saying good things about us and all those things. In this way, we have seen that the qualities of Chitta Prajna, which we are studying, still many more virtues are there in the subsequent verses in the second chapter. And the qualities of a devotee who has pure devotion to God, they are absolutely same. There is no difference at all. They have reached that status of infinite joy by following different method, different paths, but the goal is the same. So let us now do verse number 58. Yada sammarate chayam kurmongani saruvashah Indriyani indriyarthebhyah tasya prajna pratisthita. Yada samharate chayam kurmongani saruvashah Indriyani indriyarthebhyah tasya prajna pratisthita. Here, Sri Krishna gives a nice example of a tortoise. Kurma means a tortoise. When a tortoise senses danger, what it does is, it withdraws all its four limbs into its own shelf and remains secure inside the shelf. Shelf is very hard, cannot be easily broken. It provides protection. Yada ayam means this person who has self-knowledge, Chitta Prajna. Sarvashah indriyani samharate. Indriyarthebhyah. Indriyartha means sense objects. Indriyani means senses. When a person withdraws, samharata means withdraws the sense organs from the sense objects, then what happens? The comparison is given. Yada kurmaha angani sarvashah samharate. Just as a tortoise withdraws its limbs from all other objects and remains secure within the shell, in the same way, a Chitta Prajna withdraws his sense organs from their tendency to contact with sense objects, have contact with sense objects. Tasya prajna pratishtita. Yada, when a person succeeds in doing this consistently always, then such a person is known as Sita Prajna, becomes a Sita Prajna, person of steady wisdom. So let us try to understand what is this, why there is the need to withdraw sense organ from sense object. Supposing I see something nice, tasty food, a piece of cake or something, why should I not grab it and start eating it right away? That is, sense object is there, sense organ is there, mind is there, enjoy. This is the wrong, worst way to find happiness. Sri Krishna says, this, what we consider happiness is only a play of the mind. When a sense organ, one or more sense organs, contact with one or more sense objects, then that contact is construed by the mind either as happiness sometimes or as unhappiness at other times. Same sense organ, same sense object. The mind makes the determination. Yes, though this is very happy, I want to keep on holding it a little bit longer. Oh, this is unhappy, I want to stay away from that one. I hate it. I love it, I hate it. All this happens only in the mind. There is no intrinsic happiness in the sense object that we have studied before. So, where do we find happiness then? In the self within. Atmani eva, atmana tushta. There, the self cannot be lost. It cannot be increased because it is infinite. Infinite, unconditional, eternal fountain of joy is within us all. And not knowing that one, you are reaching for the small 5 cents lying outside. Oh, this happiness from this piece of cake, or from this food, or from this dress, or from this relationship. It's not the source of true happiness. So the sign of wisdom is to not look for happiness in the outside objects, where permanent happiness cannot be found, where unconditional happiness cannot be found. The sign of wisdom is to look for joy, happiness, bliss, ananda, where it is actually present, where it can be found, and that is within the self, one's own self. You don't have to go outside anywhere. In the Viveka Chudamani, many of you are studying with Swamiji Viveka Chudamani, there is one very nice verse which was recently which was done by Swamiji some time ago. Viveka Chudamani, verse number 176, Viveka Chudamani. There, the mind is compared to a tiger roaming freely in a forest. And this whole world is compared to a forest containing sense objects. All these are sense objects, including our body is also a sense object. So this tiger is roaming freely there, tasting this food and that food and trying to find happiness here and there. If you do that one, we'll be courting great unhappiness, because we'll be wasting our whole lifetime looking for happiness where it cannot be found. Except leaving one place where it can be found, where it has to be found, we're looking for happiness in all the wrong places and losing precious time, and then when the old age comes, nothing can be done. So here the verse is like this: Mano nama mahavyagra vishayaranya bhumishu charati atra nagachantu sadhavo ye mumukshavaha. Mano nama mahavyagra. Vyagra means a tiger, a great tiger, a big tiger, which is the mind. Mind is compared to a tiger. Manona mahavyagraha visharanya bhumishu charati. Aranya visharanya bhumishu. Then this whole world is a forest. Aranya means a forest made of sense objects, containing sense objects. Everything is a sense object. Other people, animals and plants and things and property, possessions, power, fame, everything is a sense object, where people ordinarily look for happiness. And the mind is allowed to roam freely in the whole world. Sometimes looking at this object, being attracted by it, I want to have that one. Sometimes looking at this object, I want to have this one. Like this, the mind is wasting its precious time. Human life time is limited, and then we are spending our life like that one. Say the Shankaracharya in Viveka Chudamani says, Sadhava tatra nagachantu ye mumukshavaha. Those who want liberation, Mumukshu is one who wants liberation. Moksha is liberation. Ye mumukshavaha, those sadhus who are mumukshus, who desirous of liberation, may they not go there into that forest and dream about wasting time in that forest. Sadhavo ye mumukshavaha tatra nagachantu. Very nice verse. Mano nama mahavyagra vishayaranya bhumishu charati atra nagachantu sadhavo ye mumukshavaha. So, the instruction is trying to withdraw the sense organs. Mind is also a sense organ. Mind also should not be allowed to roam about thinking about all kinds of worldly objects and sources of pleasure. It must all be brought within and made to dwell on the self within. This discipline is called pratyahara, uparatya pratyahara. We should become free from all external distractions. The sense organs have a natural tendency to go out and look for contact with sense objects. For example, eye wants to see something very pleasant, nice, beautiful form, color, shape, all those things. Eye wants to see and enjoy. Ear wants to hear something very pleasant. When other people praise me, that is the sweetest sound we can hear. We enjoy that one, praise. And the tongue wants to taste something very nice, always tasty, sing. Nose wants to smell something that is fragrant, like this one. This tendency is inborn tendency, is inherent natural tendency of the sense organs. What a seeker of the liberation, one who wants to aspiring Sthita Prajna should do is to control the sense organs, not let them move about and roam about freely among all the sense objects, which are the whole world is made up of sense objects. There is a very nice verse in the Katha Upanishad, second chapter of Katha Upanishad, first verse in the second chapter of Katha Upanishad. There it is said, Paranchikhani Vyatranat Swayambhu Tasmat Parang Pashyatinantaratman Kaschid Dhira Pratyagatmanamayakshat Avritta Chakshuramrtattvamichan. Very nice verse, oft quoted verse. There it is said, the sense organs, Kani means the five Gyanendriyas, organs of perception. Eyes, which can see forms, shape, color, distance, etc. And then ears, which can hear the sound, pleasant or unpleasant sound, taste, touch and smell. These five sense organs. These five sense organs, they are naturally made in such a way that they go out and look for contact with sense objects, hoping that such a contact will bring pleasure. That's what explained in verse number 14, second chapter. We will not go that now because it will be too much of a digression. The sense organs have a natural tendency to go out and look for contact with sense objects, hoping that such contact will bring pleasure, happiness. But a rare person, it takes a rare person, Kaschid Dhira. This is what ordinary people do. They always look for happiness in outside objects. If I do this, I'll be happy. If I get that, I'll be happy. If I go there, I'll be happy. If I change my job, I'll be happy. If I marry somebody else, I'll be happy. This is what ordinary people think. But it takes a rare person to think the other way, in the opposite direction. Kaschid Dhira is a rare, wise person who has wisdom and strength of mind. Pratyagatmanam aikshat, succeeds in seeing the self within, becomes knower of the self, Brahmagyani, Atmagyani, becomes Atmagyani. How does he become Atmagyani? Amritatvamichan, desiring immortality, Avritta Chakshuhu. Avritta Chakshu means reversing, making 180 degrees U-turn from the world of sense objects and focusing one's attention on the self within. Ordinary people look outside for happiness, this and that object. Sthita Prajna, or even a devotee who has pure devotion to God, looks inside where the self is. That is the source of all happiness. That is a sign of wisdom. To do this one, how to do this one, Sri Ramakrishna gives practical instruction. In the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, how to withdraw from sense organs, sense objects, because we are always surrounded by them. Wherever you go, there are sense objects. Therefore, Sri Ramakrishna gives instruction. I will read the instruction from the Gospel and then we will conclude this session. Sri Ramakrishna again and again says, you have to go into a solitude every now and then and pray in solitude. If you pray in the presence of all people, it should not become an exercise in showmanship. Oh, I see how much japa I am doing, how much meditation I am doing. That should not be. You should pray in private. What we pray, other people need not know and should not know. In solitude. So, describing the need for solitude, Sri Ramakrishna explains, gives instruction like this. It's page 139 and 140 in the Gospel. I'll read that and we'll conclude this session. Even if one lives in this world, one must go into solitude now and then. It will be of great help to a man if he goes away from his family, lives alone, and weeps for God even for 3 days. Even if he thinks of God for 1 day in solitude, when he has the leisure, that too will do him good. People shed a whole jug of tears for wife and children, but who cries for the Lord? Now and then one must go into solitude and practice spiritual discipline to realize God. Living in the world and entangled in many of its duties, the aspirant during the first stages of spiritual life finds many obstacles in the path of concentration. While the trees on the footpath are young, they must be fenced around. Otherwise, they will be destroyed by cattle. The fence is necessary when the tree is young, but it can be taken away when the trunk is thick and strong. Then the tree won't be hurt even if an elephant is tied to it. So this very nice example. How to practice this is nicely given here. So in the verse number 58, that's what Sri Krishna says. Just as a tortoise withdraws all its limbs, sense organs, from sense objects when it senses danger, in the same way, one who seeks to become a Sita Prajna should practice this withdrawing of sense organs from sense objects and making the mind dwell on the self within. The same thing is done by a devotee, by meditating, repeating God's name. Same thing is done by a seeker of self-knowledge, by meditating on the self, following the path of vichara, inquiry. So this verse number 58, let us chant it once and then we'll say the closing prayer. Yada samharate chayam kurmonganiva sarvashaha indriyanindriyarthebhyah tasya prajna pratisthita. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayah, sarve bhadrani pasyantu, ma kaschid dukkha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Om, may all be happy, may all be free from diseases, may all realize what is noble and auspicious, may no one be subject to misery. Om, peace, may there be peace in our hearts, may there be harmony among all beings, may there be peace everywhere in nature. Hari Om Tat Sat. Sarvam Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you all. Stay well and all the best.